Here at Celebration 6. Everybody enjoying themselves so far? Me too. Alright. Well, one of the things that's new this time around is we've expanded the collecting panels. We've also included a new room next door. So stop by and check that out. There's a lot of interactive social things that are going on over there. There's some patch giveaways at different times, and just a good chance to meet up with some people, see some collections displayed, and things like that. Also, we'll be having a swap meet and social over there from 6:30 to 8:30. Bring in things that you would like to sell or trade. Keep it to a minimum, like a small box or a bag or something like that. Don't bring up a whole dealer table of stuff. But if you have some stuff that you'd like to trade, bring it. This would be a good time to find like-minded collectors and make some trades. The Collector Quest. Anybody playing the Collector Quest right now? There's a few there. Yeah, I see. All right. It's a scavenger hunt that we're doing. You've got 15 stamps to acquire throughout the entire convention center. Most of them are in the exhibitor hall, but not all of them. And basically, you just go around and ask people if they have the stamp, and they will stamp it for you. It's not just random people walking the halls, but actual specific places. And everybody that completes it gets this nice medal that says Collector Quest Celebration 6 while the supplies last. So we've had a few people that have finished it so far. We've been giving clues out throughout the day, so here are the clues for those of you playing along. R2-D2, where are you? With your friends, of course. You can find a lot of things on a ranch, including a stamp. Completing this card will make you a completist. You don't have to go online for a stamp, so relax in a lounge. Does this quest make you feel like the toy hunter on TV? Stand up for Collector Quest. And the two new ones for now are collecting 2 of these stamps can be an art, but you don't have to venture down an alley. And sometimes you have to visit a cave to find a stamp. We also have for purchase these nice display boxes that will hold your star tot or tots, depending on how many presentations you've been to. And those are available just outside here at one of the tables. And if you had the C5 exclusives, the cereal boxes, the box display that holds all of those, we still have a few of those left that are also available. So, with that, we're going to learn all there is to know about collecting carded figures from Will and Chris.
Thanks, Duncan. I'm not going to tell you everything you need to know about card figures. We're just going to keep it to the basics today. I first wanted to start by introducing myself. I'm Will Green. I'm a collector of card figures and displays and a bunch of other things too. And this is my fellow professor, Chris Georgoulias. Chris.
Everyone give Chris a hand.
Thanks, guys. I do panels here and there on our collecting tracks every celebration, and jumping in with Will on this one to talk about little vintage goodness. So we hope you'll come away with some new knowledge.
And there we are. All right. Hey, I wanted to ask everybody, who in here already collects vintage carded figures? Okay, so not too bad. Maybe about a quarter of you. And then the rest of you, hopefully this will be school enough. For the 25% or so of you that collect things, this might be a little bit of a review for you. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to run through a bunch of different topics. And then I'm going to basically open up for a short period of questions, and hopefully if we have time, I'll do a little quiz at the end, okay? And the quiz might entail some prizes as well. Okay? So we're going to go through classification condition, we're going to talk about AFA a little bit, typical collecting patterns, strategies, rarity value. I'm really focusing only on US carded figures here, just the US. So collecting card figures, who in here remembers Toy Shop? Toy Shop. So actually, yeah. What do you think of that?
Toy Shop's pretty old, so you're showing your age there. So for those of you that don't know, Toy Shop magazine was sort of like the eBay of the 90s. From about, or 1989 was the first, 88 was the first issue, really strong up through about 97, and then eBay really started taking over. But that really was a print publication. And if you guys know about record collecting, Goldmine magazine, sort of the same way. Just every 2 weeks, this magazine came out, and every week, 2 weeks, I think. And dealers throughout the country, the world, would put ads in them, and that was your way to get product. And
yeah, Toy Shop was like the source for collecting vintage, essentially back in the early 90s. And then it disappeared because eBay took over, like Chris said. And Toy Shop was kind of sometimes hard to navigate. Because you get people saying, okay, well, this Carter figure is mint condition, and then you get it and it's beat up. And because of that, it was a little bit annoying, because you get little pictures like that, and you wouldn't be able to see things. I mean, literally looking like that up on the screen. eBay came around, and you're able to kind of see things a little bit better, so it helped people grade a little better. But that's kind of how I started collecting, was at toy shows and through Toy Shop. So, why should you collect card figures? Card figures are available all over the place. That doesn't mean every single one of them is common. It just means that it's open to everybody. And it's really what I like to call the meat and potatoes of Star Wars collecting. And it's kind of what got me started way back in the day, when I saw somebody selling card figures at a show back in Oakland in 1992 or so. And I don't know, that kind of gets you going as well, card figure thing?
yeah, definitely. There's some local guys. That was the first time I'd seen. I think it was early 1990, and a couple of friends of mine showed up, and they had figures still in the packaging, and then I was pretty psyched on that. But looking back now, that was only like 5 years after it ended. So
yeah, and to me, they hold like a whole lot more nostalgic value than a lot of the other things that are available. Just because I remember them, I'm sure a lot of you who collect vintage stuff remember card figures hanging on the pegs and searching through them for Boba Fett or whatever the latest one is. So those are all great reasons to start collecting card figures. Now I'm going to go through a little bit of the classification. There's some basic classification, there's some more comprehensive classification, and then there's like really detailed classification, which I'm not going to get into today. But one of the basic ways to start off collecting is just collect by logo. And there's the Star Wars logo. That's on the figures that were released from 78 to 80 or so. There's the Empire Strikes Back logo as well. And that's came out from 1980 to approximately 82, 83. And then there's the Return of the Jedi logo. And these are probably the most common ones that you're going to find, Return of the Jedi. And just wandering the show today and yesterday, there are a lot of Jedi card figures out there, and a lot of actually reasonably priced ones. You could probably pick up like a Jedi card figure for as much as a loose figure. And then on top of those logos, Chris, you want to comment on this one?
it was the Power of the Force series. It was the last series, sort of like a last hurrah for Kenner to release the figures. They came up with the concept of adding an aluminum coin with each one to sort of increase the value, the perceived value. And they went back and they released figures from Star Wars, characters from Star Wars that had been released. And this was the last hurrah, and this is usually the ones that people missed out on back in the day, because this was an 1985, 1986 time period. So most people start off and they have all their loose figures and they're missing the Power of the Force, the last line. So that's usually one where people are focused on trying to complete those.
So nice fancier logo, real good eye appeal, has the coin there as well. And there was a time frame, probably like early, mid to late 90s, where this was the one to buy. Power of the Force logo, everybody wanted. They were skyrocketing in price. There were certain figures that came out with this logo card that weren't available previously. Lately, probably in the last 5 to 10 years, these haven't been as sought after, haven't increased in value as much. Probably because a lot of them have yellow. The bubbles on them yellow. So we'll talk about yellow bubbles a little bit more later.
The other thing with the Power of the Force, since it was the last in the line and they weren't selling well at retail, a lot of toy dealers got these in cases. I mean, in the 90s, I remember you could buy a 96 count case of these figures from dealers. I mean, they're quite available at the time.
And then there's my all-time unfavorite, The Droids and Ewoks line.
I made Will put these in here, and they were missing. I was like, where are the Droids and Ewoks?
Yeah, I was going to cut these out. No one collects Droids and Ewoks.
These are still vintage. You know, the thing with the Droids is there's a direct crossover. You know, like the Boba Fett figure and Alien Pilot figure are directly the figures that were released in Star Wars packaging, in the movie title packaging. So there's a direct link in there with those, not just the cartoon series. They're cool.
In reality, I'm joking, and these actually sell for a good amount of money, especially Boba Fett is a highly sought after one. So another way people collect card figures is collecting either a card that shows an offer on it or doesn't show an offer. And to tell you the truth, probably the more sought after one is the one that are offerless, that kind of show the full picture of the figure. And here's an example of a couple 21 pack Boba Fett's on the Star Wars logo. One's got the offer, the other one doesn't. In reality, this particular Boba Fett, they're probably both worth around the same. But some of the other ones, like Empire Strikes Back, card figures, the logoed ones, people don't like as much. People might try to target offerless ones.
And there's printed offers and stickered offers as well.
And then we get into card backs. So this is kind of my deal. I love collecting the different card backs, and there are so many different variations of the card backs, and I'm not even going to get into all the details like I mentioned. But just among the 12 backs, there's like 3 different basic card backs, 12 A, B, and C. And I'm not going to talk about them. 12 backs, I said card figures are the meat and potatoes of Star Wars vintage collecting. 12 backs are like the meat and potatoes of meat and potatoes. I mean, they are the ones people always go after. Even though they're not even the rarest ones, people always want the 12 backs. So those are the original ones, the original 12, the original series. They're all up there. Those are the only 12 that were available.
And collectors invented that term 12 back. It shows how many figures are on the back of the card. It's 12 back, and then it increases from there.
Yeah, so it's just another way of organizing things, showing the number of figures that are on the back of the card. So this is an example of a 20 back. So again, it shows 20 figures on the back of the card. It shows some nice pictures of vehicles and play sets as well. Nice pictures of the figure. So 12 back, 20 back. There's another 20 back that had the Boba Fett offer. And this particular one also had an offer on the front. That little sticker that covers it, that's covering up Tony D'Amato. I don't know if any of you guys saw Tony. Is Tony in here right now? Tony was one of our stellar volunteers, and I want to thank him for helping out.
Lead volunteer.
The lead volunteer. And he dressed up as a rocket firing Boba Fett for the costume contest. It was awesome.
With a real working rocket launcher. That's pretty sweet.
All right, so 12 back, 20 back, you guys got it? Good. Remember, I said there's going to be a quiz at the end of this. All right, so 21 back. 21 back kind of looks like a 20 back, but it's got a little Boba Fett right in the middle there. So difference in value or rarity between 20 and 21 backs. Overall, not really much difference in rarity. Certain 20 backs are hard to find, certain 21 backs are hard to find as well.
And you can see in these, they're highlighting the bigger photos of the newer figures. The other 12 are shown small. Highlighting the newest ones.
This is another 21 back. Again, Star Wars logo, 21 back. It's got the offer sticker on the bottom. And that Secret Star Wars action figure was Chris.
It was Boss. Alien Bounty Hunter.
All right, 12, 20, 21 backs. So again, you can collect by logo, you can collect by card back. All right, so on the Empire Strikes Back logo card backs, there's also a 21 back. It kind of looks like that stickered one that I just showed you, but it's printed down. And only the first 21 figures were available on this 21 back. None of the Empire figures were available on it. 31 back, again, showing the number of figures. 32 back, add a little Yoda up there. 31 back, 32 back. These are all Empire logo figures. 41 back, there are several different 41 backs. Some had an offer, some didn't. Not really much price difference or rarity between them. 45 back, 47 back. Again, these are all just the number of figures on the back of the card equate to a way to classify them. 40 back, 48 back. So 48 figures were made throughout Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. And they had some offers there, like the Akbar was a Jedi figure. Interestingly enough here, as you might see on the card back here, it says Revenge of the Jedi. way back in the day, people would say, oh, this is a Revenge of the Jedi card figure in reality, and it's rare, but in reality it's not rare at all. It's basically, this is probably less rare than that back that I showed on the other side, the off-roll spec. Any comments on that, Chris?
I think they all say Revenge, right? They're all like that.
Yeah, they all are Revenge. Yeah. So if someone tries to sell you Empire Strikes Back card figure that says Revenge of the Jedi on it, and they say it's rare, it has Revenge of the Jedi, don't. It's not. Okay, Return of the Jedi, they changed it. Now they got a new offer on the back there. This is also 48 back. This is Return of the Jedi logo on the front of this card. And then again, the number backs, 65 back, says it right up there on the top left, collect all 65.
So the first one, there's a transition period. So you have the old figures on the new movie logo. So it went from that with the 21 back with the Star Wars transition, and there's a 21 back with the Empire logo. So you have the new movie but the old figures. Same thing with Return of the Jedi. When you start with the 48 back, you end it with a 48 back Empire, and you start with the 48 back Jedi. Figures are all Star Wars and Empire. And 65 is the start where we actually see Jedi figures on the packaging.
Okay. And also on these 65 backs, sometimes you'll see ones that have the Ewoks blotted out. I didn't show a picture of it here, but those two little Ewoks in the front row on that 65 back on your left, you kind of see those. Those would be blotted out, and those were released kind of before Return of the Jedi came out, and George Lucas didn't want the world to know that he was putting teddy bears into his last movie, so he blacked it out. And then afterwards, they took the black out. But in reality, there's not really any difference in rarity between those for the most part. 77 back, this is probably the most common Return of the Jedi figure. You find Return of the Jedi figure, more than likely it's going to be a 77 back. 79 back, looks like a 77 back. Actually, the offerless 79 back is much tougher to find than 77 back. In reality, it probably doesn't draw a price premium. Top, upper left, one says 77, one says 79. Not something people look at. But 79 back, an offerless 79 back set, nobody's put one of those together, as far as I know. Not even sure if all of them exist on the 79. All right, Power of the Force, basically one back for Power of the Force. There's no difference. Has a nice coin on the back there. It says collect all 62 coins, even though you couldn't get all 62 coins unless you wrote to Kenner. And again, these two, I don't think anyone really cares about those drawings.
No change on those figures.
All right, so let's talk about condition a little bit. But you know, I was talking about Toy Shop, and I was talking about at shows. People would grade. I don't even know where the C scale came from, but people would grade things on the C scale. What C means, I don't really know, but I assume it means condition. I don't think I ever saw anything graded as a C1, Chris. I don't know if you have.
No, the C scale starts 1 to 10. The truth of the matter is really it's more like 5 to 10 or 6 to 10. In reality, anything less than 7 people don't want. So they go from 7 to 10 and they add pluses to everything. So it was flawed from the get-go.
And then what happened was people would start, you know, splicing it up a bit. So that instead of C9, C10, there'd be like a C9.5, and then there'd be a C9.5 plus, or maybe there'd be a C8 and a plus, and there'd be C8 and 3 pluses. So when you're reading through Toy Shop, it was so hard to figure out, what the condition of the figure was. And typically, like a seller is going to try to inflate the condition of his piece. So as you can see, it's still a little bit in use. Even like on Brian's toys, like so, Brian Semling, big Star Wars dealer, he still lists it at some of his figures C7, probably because he doesn't want to get those graded because it's probably not worth the price tag to get them graded. So in case you see what a C, that's kind of what it's talking about. 10 is the best condition, 1 the worst condition. So then came along AFA in the early 2000s. Chris, you want to talk about AFA a bit?
Well, AFA started, a guy just saw an opportunity and I thought it was crazy when I first saw it. It's never take off, but sure enough, you copied the grading of action figures, just like trading cards and stamps and comic books are graded. So basically you send your figure off to the company, they grade it, they encase it in acrylic, and they put a sticker on there, and it's sealed, and that's the grade. And Will knows a lot more about AFAs. I think he has stock on most of these systems.
AFA is a privately held company. I do not know stock AFA.
It's like a
Yes. AFA. Some people love AFA. Some people hate AFA. And I kind of go. I go both ways. I probably shouldn't use that term. It's kind of sad. AFA, they'll encase the figures in acrylic. They'll put a little sticker on it and they'll give a grade. And some people say, well, I can grade the figure myself. I know whether it's this or that. And sometimes AFA doesn't hit it all right. Sometimes it's not perfect. But in reality, it's a pretty good way of knowing approximately what you're doing. A whole lot better than C9.5+++. So they standardize it. They give it numbers, and the way they have the numbers set up is 0 to 100, essentially in 5 increments of 5. And the typical figure you'll find graded would be like an 80 or above. So if it's less than an 80, typically it doesn't draw a price premium or send it to AFA. And they separate the grade out by grading the card, they grade the bubble, and they grade the figure. And then they give like an overall grade on top of the subgrades. The subgrades, from what I've been told by the AFA folks, subgrades don't equate to, hey, this bubble equals an 85. It's more like how this would make this figure an 85. So for example, if an overall grade can be like an AFA 85, some of the subgrades can be higher, maybe 80, 90, 90. So the 80 would be the card. The card would make it more look like an 80 overall. The 90 would make it look more like 90 overall. And sometimes the grade gets a little bit averaged out. So some people will only collect AFA 85 figures with the card bubble and figure subgrade 85. Those typically draw a large premium.
That's a tough grade. I mean, anything higher than that is like really, really good condition. So 85 usually like most people's top end. And in reality, there's probably not that much difference between an 85 and a 90, unless you're completely OCD and you're examining the thing with a microscope. You're probably not going to be able to tell the difference between an 85 and a 90. For the most part, people are happy with an 85 as being equivalent to like a C9.5 in the old C scale. So like I mentioned, not really perfect. It will generally increase the value of the figure. A 75, if you get a grade and it gets a 75, it's probably not going to be worth that much more. But an 80 is going to increase the value of the figure. 85 is going to markedly increase the value of the figure if it gets that grade. One thing AFA doesn't do is they don't comment on the punch and the price sticker. So those don't necessarily affect the grade, but there are a lot of people who care about that and only want unpunched figures or will pay a big premium for unpunched figures. And we'll talk about what punched and unpunched is in a second. All right, now I want to go through some of the defects you're going to find. So condition is like so important when collecting really anything, because the higher condition pieces are going to be worth more. And sometimes a dealer is going to offer you something and say, well, I just saw this sell on eBay for $500. In reality, it might have sold for $500 in really nice condition, but if you've got one that, for example, the pop is removed, the pop stands for proof of purchase, then it's not going to be worth anywhere near as much. So the proof of purchases, people would cut these out after buying the card figures, and because there would be offers to send these proof of purchases in. So they really detract from the look of the back of the card, and some people hate them. If it's just peeled off like this, it's at least a little bit tolerable. But then there are ones that are like completely cut out, and it's a little bit tough, and there's a nice little picture of that one. You can hang it, as you can see. Yeah. So that obviously is not going to be worth as much as one that has the proof of purchase still in there. So I always look at the back of the card figure, or if I'm on eBay shopping for something,
I will ask them to send a picture of the back because sometimes it can be peeled off and they won't disclose it in the auction description. And then you get it and then you're hooked.
Sometimes it's neat. I mean, they can. I never thought of it back in the day. They trace around it with an X-Acto and I can just peel it off. But even that, as minor as that is, that really kills.
Yeah, most of you can't see that, but it's like a nice cut circle. And at first glance, you wouldn't even notice it.
It's just a layer. It's the color layer of active, and they peel that off.
But that probably makes it worth maybe a quarter of the value without it. All right, so price sticker tears, that's another one people tend to hate and don't like. I don't mind it too much, but it generally detracts from the grade. For example, sending this into AFA to get this graded, I think this, I don't know, this one got a 60 or so. Nice big price sticker tear. Hanger. This is not really a price sticker tear. This is actually, I was going to stay away from foreign card figures. This is a Canadian one, and these were packed at multi-packs and kind of glued together, and then people would rip them apart. And there you go, nice Canadian stormtrooper. Any Canadians in here? Where are all my Canadians? Well, there's only 3 Canadians in here. Oh, come on. All right, hanger tear is another one to be on the lookout for, and you might not notice that first off, but it's considered a major defect and will greatly downgrade the figure, especially if you're sending it to get it graded. It's probably going to equate to like a 60 for the hanger tear. Nice little punch hole, you know, hanger tears through, they tape it, punch their own hole there. Extra price stickers. This is something that, you know, is not going to grade too well, so watch out for this stuff. Here's some nice little surface greasing. That's another, you know, surface greasing can be minor, it can be major. This is major. This one I sent in to be graded, and it got a 30. So, but I like it. So, we'll talk about this figure a little bit later, particularly rear figure. So surface greases, if they're small, don't break the surface of the card, then they're probably not going to downgrade the figure too much. For example, if it's up in one of the corners and it's like doesn't break the surface, then you can still potentially get an 80 if you send it to get graded.
And that creasing can happen just on the front surface and not visible on the back. If it goes all the way to the back, way more major, you can imagine.
Back surface creases, tell you, I don't care so much about it. Some people do care about it. In reality, there's a lot of surface creases that were caused by the production of the figure, like especially around the bubble. Another one to be on the lookout for is the staple holes or thumbtack holes. So people, you know, usually just tack their card figures up to their wall or whatever to display them. Tack holes are considered a major defect. And then what do you do to tack holes? You mark them in, black marker. I don't know if all you can see back there, but this is another thing to really be on the lookout for. If something is touched up, people don't like that. Collectors don't like that, and if they find out that it's touched up, they're going to get angry. And if you send one of these to AFA, they're going to reject it. And one way to kind of try to ferret this out is to use black light. Black light sometimes will show these up, but you know, who's going to be carrying around a black light when you're walking through, you know, Celebration 6 convention?
Usually people would use Sharpies. And you can just see, you hold it to the light at an angle, and you can completely see it, even with your naked eye.
But yeah, this one greatly devalues figures. Even though it looks nice, I mean, from at first look, but at first glance, it greatly devalues the figures. All right, they're also factory defects. This is an example of a factory defect on a sand sole. Nice little purple smear on there. And to tell you, I don't particularly mind these too much, and I don't think the grading guys they don't really downgrade too much for these factory defects. All right, so that was card defects. I'm showing you all the answers here. All right, so bubble defects. Now there are lots of different bubble defects. There are major ones: cracks, lifting, crunching of the bubble. These will also greatly devalue the figures. You want to hold up that low bot for me? Feel on the bottom. Feel the bottom of the low bot. Feel it up there. Actually, you can just lift it up. So, at first glance, you like say, oh, that's a yellow bubble, whatever. But there's like a whole big, nice little crack here on the bottom cracked off. If you can get the figure out of there, then it's no longer a card figure. So cracks are bad, downgrade the figure by a lot. And the bubbles that yellow tend to crack easily, especially in transit. It's tough to photograph a crack. I try my best, but that's the crack. Bubble lifting. That's another big one that in general collectors don't like, and the grading services downgrade a lot for them. This one's got a crunch and a lift, but the point of this picture is to show the lifting bubble. Bubble crunch, another, bubble crunches can be minor, major, but they'll generally downgrade the figure to 70, 60. All right, now the figure itself. To tell you the truth, me personally, I don't mind if there's damage inside the figure all that much, as long as it's still sealed on the card. But there are kind of major figure defects to look out for. One is yellowing, so that's an obvious one. You look at a carded R2 12-pack, first thing you see on here is a yellow sticker, so no one really likes that. But this figure's still graded 75. Discoloration. This is not discoloration. This is actually this is a more minor variant. This one can actually sometimes increase the value if there's a paint error. But you can see, I don't know if people in the back can see that, but basically this is Han Solo without any eyeballs. But AFA won't typically downgrade for a factory cleaner. This one, I'm not sure how well it's showing up, but the sand people, it's like notorious for the cape discoloring. And here's a nice picture of what we call figure mold. Now, to tell you the truth, Chris, I don't know what you think of this, but it's probably not really mold that's going on. This is probably something leaching out of the plastic. Yeah. And Chris, you want to talk about how to cure the mold?
I think it's the plasticizers. This works best for Hoff figures. When you have a Hoff figure, you don't mess with it. But basically, I think the plasticizers are leaching through. And this frosting, actually, if you just stick this figure under like a desk lamp or in the sun, in the window for a little bit, it'll actually will make this completely go away. So it's an easy way to fix these things. You don't bake it for a while, but really a desk lamp will do it 10 minutes under that, or just in the window, and sunlight will do it. It's basically just light in general, and it will make that completely go away.
But don't leave it too close to the lamp.
Don't leave it
it'll melt. I know I made that mistake, and don't leave it out in the sun too long either, because all sorts of bad stuff happens. All right, there's some other minor figure issues, but typically they don't affect the value of the figure too much. All right, then there's unpunched versus punched. Like I mentioned, AFA doesn't even comment on this, but a lot of people care about it, and people want the unpunched figures. And you might ask, like, how in the world are there so many unpunched figures out there? They didn't all hang the figures on pegs. They had displays where the figures would slide into the display case. And because of that, you do find a lot of unpunched figures, and people love them, and they pay a high premium for it. So what's the punch? The punch is that little thing up on top where the figure hangs on
The hanger hole.
the hanger hole.
The cardboard feels the hole is punched out or not.
Punched, unpunched. You got it. Good.
And you might want to look sometimes, make sure that the star pattern lines up, because sometimes enterprising people have taken a punch off of one figure, trying to cram it in another figure.
Yeah, or check the back too, because the back won't match up on the logo.
That's right.
Price stickers. Price stickers is another one that, in general, AFA is not going to comment about, and some people really don't care. Some people like price stickers, but and some are worse than others, and the placement of the price sticker also affects it. So as you can see, the one on the left, it's got a relatively small white price sticker where the price box is on this 12-pack. So that one's probably okay. It's not going to cause a lot of consternation with somebody who's wanting to buy it. The one on the right, it totally includes the nice little Luke and Leia, and it's giant. It's got a barcode on it. It says Jafco. Who knows what Jafco is? And so people don't like the big, ugly price stickers. Small price sticker probably is not going to affect the value too much. But some people specifically only want figures that are unpunched and without a price sticker.
just as a side note, some people are actually looking for certain price stickers or certain stores they remember as kids and whatnot, and you can really tell a history of what kinds of stores actually carry figures. A lot of people probably don't know hardware stores used to sell toys. You can get some of these Ace Hardware, I think. Great fun stuff.
So yeah, this is an example of like placement. This is not Ace Hardware, but it's like True Value. And price stickers like right in the middle of the Jawa picture. So people kind of don't really like that. Even though those price stickers small, placement probably affect the desirability of this figure to resell it. And there's an example of a nice little big giant orange Toys R Us sticker. Classic.
Terrible.
Taking price stickers off of card figures is probably a presentation itself, honestly.
There's an art and a little gamble.
But it is, for a lot of these, it is doable. It just takes time and effort and the right solvent. Bunch of nice price stickers. All right, so bubbles. In general, there are certain figures that kind of yellow bubbles are just kind of thought to be, well, you're not going to find it otherwise. Especially like in the later Jedi figures, the Power of the Force figures. If you do find a not yellow bubble on a Power of the Force figure, there's no guarantee that it's not going to turn yellow. Because I've had ones that are like perfectly clear up through the mid-2000s and still turned yellow on me randomly, even though they were kept climate controlled, cool.
The location can make a difference. I mean, some people have moved 2 months later and they look at their figures that were still cased up and all of a sudden the bubbles turned yellow, so it can happen.
So, pretty yellow figure, and no, that's not a gold R2 coin, that is a yellow.
A lot of people used to think that it's a rare gold coin. It's just because the bubble's so yellow and gold.
All right. So, different card figure collectors collect in different ways, different collecting patterns. Some people like collecting sets. I'm kind of into that myself. So, some people just want the 12-back sets, the original 12, 20 backs. So, this kind of looks like a 12-back set. In reality, this is actually a 28-back set for all you higher-level card figure collectors. Here's the backs, 20 backs. So sometimes the card front can look the same, but the backs will be different. That's why I like to classify things by their backs. Movie collector, collecting just the logo, holding up fire figures, only Jedi figures, etc. One of each collector. I just try to get one of each on whatever particular card, irrespective of the logo. Offerless, we talked a little bit about this. Only one card figures on offerless cards. Focus collector. Yeah. Anyone in here consider themselves a focus collector? So you guys don't even know what focus is, but there's some guy with a beard back there who collects Darth Vader stuff, and I think his stuff's going to show up here in a second. But focus collectors are people who just kind of collect one particular character. So Darth Vader, that's the only one I'm going to collect. I don't care about any other card figure except Darth Vader or any other Star Wars collectible at all except Darth Vader. Right, Luis?
They also call us as character collectors too.
Rookie card collectors. Some card figures, they come out, these are people who just collected, they come out on a debut card. I'm not going to get into that too much. OCD collector, only wants the super high condition, AFA 85, straight 85 sub-3, etc.
Yeah, the OCD actually goes in, a guy could have 19 AFA 85s, but he's not satisfied. You can't get an 80. The numbers need to match as well, so that gets really picky.
And there's everything collector. Is Jeff Jacobs in here? No, I don't think Jeff made it. I would consider him an everything collector. He's got, I'll show you some pictures of his collection in a second. All right, so how do you display your collection? So some people, I talked about, used to just pin it up to the wall. Some people put them in bags and backers, star cases, acrylic cases. Some people like AFAs. So acrylic cases, this is a cheap, easy way to keep your card figures undamaged. They're light, you drop them, nothing's going to happen to the figure unless it happens to be a fragile bubble and the figure cracks through the bubble. But in reality, these are excellent ways to ship figures back and forth, especially if you put some styrofoam inside the star case. Acrylic cases look nice, they're great, they protect things. However you drop these, you probably have increased momentum and you're more likely to crack the bubble on a fragile bubble. All right, so here's a picture of some guy's collection. It's actually my collection because I'm stuck in a, you know, I went from North Carolina to California a couple of years ago, and the price for square footage in North Carolina is a lot cheaper than California. But anyways, so this I just put this in here because it kind of shows an example of how you can store these AFA cases. When things are in acrylic cases, they take up space, but they protect the figure really well. Here's a nice representation. It's Brock in here. This is Brock Walker's collection. And this is, so you can see he just took star cases and he pinned them up to the wall. And so he didn't put the pins through the card figure, but it looks really nice. He has a nice little display in there, so I had to get one display in my presentation. And there's the display. And yeah, so they're pretty well protected.
Yeah, well, he's highlighting his collection of 41 backs, so he's using the store display, he's highlighting around it, and then he got a print of the Kenner photography that was used, and he's using that as sort of a centerpiece and drawing attention that it's a 41 back set.
So this is also an example of a set collector. He collected a set of 41 backs. Here's an everything collector. This is Jeff Jacobs' collection, and he has an awesome set. I haven't seen it in person, but as you can see by these pictures, he's got a lot of figures. He's got on shelves, and yes, those are custom-made shelves that he put in to as well. He's a contractor too, so he's able to build it himself. This would probably cost him a lot of money to do if you hired someone to do it, but he was able to do it on his own. And he was telling me yesterday actually how he has the figures in there. There's not even a lip on the shelves. He's got like little rubber things on the bottoms, and he's got spongy rubber things on the top, so he's able to kind of push it up in and slide it in, and it holds it in place so they won't fall, and they're kind of off the level of the shelf, so in case water seeps down there, the water won't go directly into the case. So very well organized, very well done. Nice hardwood floors. Yeah, nice hardwood floors. Nice pool table. There's a better close-up of the shelves, and you can kind of see those little rubber dots on the top of that one empty spaces. It's got some nice display lights there too. Here's a picture of a nice display case. This is I think this is a pretty common way of doing it. So you buy a display case, you can set up all your card figures, and it looks nice, it's lighted, and it protects things very well. And Chris, you can talk more about display cases.
Yeah. Well, actually, in this case, you know, the display case is pretty self-explanatory, but you see all these Darth Vaders, and by being a focus collector, this character collector, Luis here can collect every different small variation of the one. So most people say, I want a carded vintage Darth Vader, and they've got one. You can see the possibilities here of one figure, how many differences there can be with movie logos and backs and offers and different countries and you name it. And that's a way to do it. Unless you're a guy like Steve Sanson, you can technically need all of them for his collection times every figure. But this is a way to do it and focus on one figure and let you do it somewhat more affordably too. And he's expanded it into the Darth Vader TIE Fighter and other things tied directly into that character.
This is an example of a man obsessed. But he's got a great collection, and so it's also an example of a focus collector, like we mentioned before, Darth Vader focus or character collector. All right, so strategies. Really, you know, there's lots of different strategies. But the basics of it are you set a goal and start small, and then work your way through it. And you can find bargains. There are always bargains to be found. The bargains out on the floor today. You can go look around and you'll find something that's relatively cheap. I mean, you can buy a card figure for $20. That's not that bad. I'm not talking anything on this one.
Even to sell new figures nowadays for $20. So
no kidding.
You can just have a little.
You can get a vintage figure for cheaper than a
Yeah, you know, he mentioned it. Craigslist. Actually, a lot of people are finding things on Craigslist. You get in there, you be diligent about it, and people list lots. You have to take more of a risk on Craigslist. A lot of the times, people just list things without the photos, and people have followed up on things that other people have just been like and thought was garbage, and walked away with some pretty amazing, huge lots of stuff still in their packaging. So,
all right, rarity. Here's a quick rundown of rarity. Star Wars logoed are more rare than Empire logoed, or more rare than Power Force, and Return of the Jedi are most common. And as you can read there, the expensive figures aren't always the rarest ones. So 12 backs are expensive. A 12 back AFA 80 Darth Vader is going to run you some money. Vinyl Cape Jawas, they're expensive. This one, $6,500. So that's not asking price. As you can see, it says, you might not be able to see, but it says sold for $6,500, unpunched, no price sticker, AFA 85 Vinyl Cape Jawa. And then if you look on the AFA, you can see how many Vinyl Cape Jawas there are. And there are a lot of them. There's like, 200 of these things. But even though it's relatively common, it commands a huge price. And these numbers aren't wholly accurate because AFA doesn't update their website altogether. In reality, there are at least 200 of these Vinyl Cape Jawas. There are at least 71 in the condition of AFA 85.
And that's graded. This doesn't count for all ones that are not graded. And these, the funny thing about Jawa, these have turned up in huge cases, like 90 count cases were found 10 years ago, buried in attics. So.
Okay, so here's an example. AFA 80 Darth Vader, $725. It's not even the highest condition one. AFA 85, $700. And there are a lot of these.
And that's the case where it's just like an early card and the main character, and that's really what's driving the cost there.
So they're common, but everybody wants it. That's the one everyone wants. Card 12 back, Darth Vader. That's the classic. Okay. As you can see, there are also these 21 backs, and there's 21 back sand people. There's only 8 of these, but nobody really cares about that so much. They want a 12 back sand person. 21 back Jawa, only 3 of these graded, and none of them have that cheap a grade of over 60. And I think I own probably 2 of those. And 21 back Stormtrooper. This is another class. There's only this. Again, this is not fully up to date because they don't update their site, but there's only one of these graded as of approximately 2 years ago. Now there's 2 So 21 back, I just want to run through this real quick. Diamonds in the Rough, 21 back Stormtrooper. This is a good one that not everybody knows about, but it's really incredibly rare. Just like how I showed the AFA population report there. It looks like a regular Star Wars logo, Stormtrooper. You flip it on the back, there's 21 figures shown. Very rare figure.
This is for somebody who's really meticulous, rare. Most people don't know the difference. So.
Offer was full on, crappy grade, but I think there are only like 2 of these graded. Very rare figure as well. There are lots of, and it has to be the Empire logo as well. Empire logo offerless. There are lots of Empire logos with the offer, but one without the offer, very rare. And it's even thought that these weren't even available in the States, were released in Australia. I'm sure of that. 21 back R2, that's another rare one. You look at the front, you say, oh, that's a 12 back R2. And 12 back R2s are sought after. But this one's a 20 back. And not a 21 back, not a 12 back, but a 20 back. This one is very rare. I think there's only 3 of these graded. Sticker, there's some rare sticker variations as well. This one's you might look at a 41 back, but it's not. It's a sticker variant. Another sticker variant. This one's actually findable. These are found on the backs of 12 backs. This does generally increase the price somewhat, and it's a cool, nice little sticker. So value, rarity, desirability, condition, AFA. So condition plays a huge role in the value. So as you see on this one, 12 back, AFA 70, $450, and 80, $725. These were all taken within the past month and a half or so. AFA 85 up to $1,200, and this is an AFA 85 that's unpunched, no price sticker, winning bid $2,700. So watch out for condition because it means a lot. Any pitfalls? Paying too much for an AFA number. Sometimes, again, I recommend not paying a premium for an AFA 90 because not that many people care about it, and the difference between 85 and 90 is not that much. The other thing I want to warn people about is custom stakes, recars, and resales. So those are out there, and if you don't look closely and you don't know what you're looking for, you can get tricked, especially with eBay photos. If you pick one of these up at a show, you're probably going to be able to tell, hey, this doesn't look right. but there are people who sell bubbles, the people who sell the replica card figures already pre-made, and from that picture that looks like, hey, it's a set of 12 bags, $150. These are all replica. They call them replicas. In reality, they're fakes.
Yeah. The figures are real, it's just the packaging of the bubbles is completely reproduced.
Yeah. All over the place, and they're cheap. So watch out for them. Restoration set. It's called, I like to call them faking sets. All right, so anyways, in conclusion, collect card figures. It's rewarding, it's easy to do. Set yourself a budget, keep learning, be patient and persistent, and you can set up a nice collection. There you go, there's some nice rare figures for you. We didn't make 3 packs, but that 3 packs also pretty good. Upside down Death Star droid. Another nice one. Okay. I don't think actually we have time for questions. We got about 10 minutes left. What I want to do is I want to do a little game show, a little Jeopardy, and see if anyone was paying attention, or see if people were sleeping. Because I'm slow monotone, deep voice, and I tend to put people to sleep. And it's 5:30. I want to get to swap meet. I can't believe so many people came out for this. They didn't come out for this. I know you came out for the Star Toss guy. You guys missed speed dating. We're competing with speed dating today. All right, so what I want everyone to do right now is I try to make this as random as possible, be as fair as possible. So what I did is, before people came in here, I stuck something under 4 seats. So everybody reach down under their seat and see if you can find a piece of green tape sticking a top sticker underneath your chair. If you found it, then you are a lucky contestant. If you, if you don't want to participate, you can give it to your neighbor. If you're not in your seat right now, so if you have one, stand up, start walking forward. Yeah, don't rip off the label. Don't rip off the label from the chairs. It's a piece of green tape sticking a vintage top sticker. Come on up if you got one. If you don't want to play, then
you can trade your seat label for a Star Toss.
It's not.
Oh man, we have one right here.
Actually, you need it. I want you to take the sticker off and put it on your shirt. You don't want that.
The whole steel.
Yeah, just peel the sticker off. Everyone.
All right.
You got 4.
We've got authentic Empire Strikes Back Tops stickers. Now it's worthless.
It's worthless.
We're selling this on eBay.
Okay, we got one more anywhere. There should be 4 of them.
Number 4.
We can work with 3. That's okay. You guys can have a seat up front here. And
I'll go.
Well, actually, it was unfair because you didn't have a seat. So if you want to play, you're welcome to play because our 4th man is gone.
Yeah, I'll play.
I totally did. That slipped past me. That was a possibility. So, all right. And my lovely wife Elaine is going to help keep score, and she's also going to mitigate who raised their hand first because I don't have buzzers or any fancy, scorekeeping stuff. It's just going to be on our notes. So you got to raise your hand, and you're going to lose points if you answer it wrong. And I want you to try to not raise your hand until the whole question is answered. And I don't care if it's in the form of a question or not, whatever. So you guys probably might have saw one question. That was the easy question. All right, and whoever's the winner, whoever has the most points, actually, no.
Will's running the show. I'm just up here to take up space.
I'm not giving up on expensive ones. Sorry, those are prizes. But I've got 3 card figures to give away. So the winner gets a choice of one of these. And the person with the lowest amount of points is, you get a movie prize. And you'll see what it is. All right? Not all you heard that.
So they're beaters, but they're free. It's fun.
All right. So, let's see. Who's going to be first? Rob. I know you. I don't know how you got that sticker, but since you came up here first, I'm going to let you go first and choose the first category and first points, and hopefully this thing works. All right, C6 for 10. Name this bubble condition flaw. Ready? Elaine, Elaine, you have to watch the contestants. Because you gotta see who puts their hand up first. Ready? All right. Go ahead and say it. Crunch. Okay. Well, sorry, yeah. You have to do minus 10 points on this one. Audience is the judge, yeah, so, yeah. Actually, he blurted it out, so we're gonna have to not let anyone else have a chance at that one. So it was bubble lift, and this one I threw in there as a trick question because yes, it shows a crunch and it shows a lift, but in the presentation, if you were listening, I said, hey, this picture is supposed to show the lift. Okay, so that one minus 10 points. All right. Sorry. Okay, unfortunately it doesn't show which ones are taken, so this was a Mac issue. I mean, I literally had my wife working on this for like a whole 4 hours trying to figure out how to make the hyperlink function. But I did Mac to Windows and it wrote it, so what can I do? All right, Rob, you're still up. All right, in the presentation, what set was this an example of?
12 back.
Oh, sorry, that's wrong, minus 10 points. Okay, other guy. There you go, that was the trick question too, 20 bag, this is a 20 bag set. Remember, it looks like a 12 bag from the front, but this is actually a 20 bag set. That's why I prefaced it with in the presentation, because I just showed this to you, or if you weren't listening. That was Fleckus. All right. You're up. I like my steak rare for 20. I might have you guys just choose the 10s because we're going to get lost in this thing pretty soon. Okay, which vintage carded figure is rarer? Ready? All right, go. R2D2 21 back. There you go, 20 points. You got your 20 points back to 0. That is the 20 back R2D2. I know I didn't spend a lot of time on this. Okay, you're up. What you got? Pick it and regret it. You're gonna regret it. The total number of carded Star Wars 21 back jaw is currently listed as rated by AFA. Oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. That's minus 10. What you got? 200, sorry, that's wrong. It's another minus 10 points. Anyone else want to go? You said there. We're talking 21 back Jawas. Anyone else want to go? Okay, time's up. 3. All right, someone was paying attention in front row. She's not playing Jeopardy, unfortunately. Okay. 3 21 back Jawas. I told you you'd regret it. All right, go again. What you got? You need to make up some points.
In the back of my card.
In the back of my card for 10. Okay. I don't know why that went on there. Okay. Identify it. Sure. Identify this card bag. Ready? Go.
12 back.
12 bag. That's 10 points. There's no double jeopardy, by the way. I can't figure out how to program that. Okay, go again.
I'll have to separate.
You guys are keeping pretty good track of this. All right, which vintage card is rarer? Ready? Burn phase. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. We're looking at a little loose here. I think second guy. You guys have your stickers on? Oh, Lando. Oh, you're Yoda. Okay, Yoda. That's 10 points for Yoda.
He wants to keep it, man.
So it's like a nickel. All right, what you got? Collect this 30. Okay, what type of collecting pattern is this an example of, right? Elaine, you're the judge, because I'm reading it. Focus, very nice, that's good. Right answer, 30 points. Okay, we gotta call it. We got 1 minute. 1 minute.
Lightning round.
Lightning round, okay. Go for it, choose one. Pick a big value. Collect this for 50. All right. What type of collecting pattern is this an example of, right? Permanent collector, that's correct. That's 50 points. All right, let's keep going. One more. Okay, pick one. Pick another 50 question. C6 for 50, right? What is this an example of? Oh, no, sorry. What's next? Yoda, all right. Touch up, you got it. All right. Okay, we're kind of getting the cutoff sign here at 6:30, so I'm gonna have to end it here. Hey, what's our final tally? Hold on a second. Wait, who's the winner? 70? Yoda? Okay, Yoda, come up here and you can choose your prize.